It's Sunday, October 9th, 2022. I'm headed out for a little sail this afternoon. We're running out of days to sail, unfortunately. I see one other crazy sailor out here today. Anyway, we're just getting ready. We're leaving the harbor now under motor until we get out a little bit, and then we'll put up some sails. Light winds, really less than 10 knots right now. So I think we'll round up into the wind here real quick and get the main raised, and so we can turn the engine off. I think we'll just turn you off while we do that. Well, it's a beautiful day out here today. One other sailboat out. I don't know if you can see him. I don't see much else traffic wise. I hear a few boats calling for bridge lifts because they're headed into some of the marinas up just south of Chicago. I'm hauling out tentatively on Saturday the 29th of October, the last day that they're doing it. The only problem with doing that is you're gonna get hauled out come hell or high water. So hopefully it's not storming and nasty or snowing or something. But I'm gonna be gone for a week here next week for my son's wedding in Colorado, and decided rather than put the boat away this weekend, I'd wait till I got back. So I figure if I'm waiting that long, I might as well wait till the very end. Today's a beautiful day. It's almost 70 degrees, sunshine, breeze out of the southwest. Well, there's probably 10 knots maybe. We are going downwind at the moment, so we're just kind of ghosting along here. We were making 6 knots a few minutes ago when the wind was a little more south, but keeps kind of backing around to the west and right behind us. So we're enjoying it though. It's a beautiful day to be out on the lake. Tried a few friends, tried to get them out today, but no takers. So I am out solo once again. To my friends at sailboatowners.com forums, you see I have my lifelines up when I'm out. I'll get in the habit of doing that, I'm sure, as long as I remember to put them back down before I try to dock. So we'll have more later, but just a beautiful afternoon here in south end of Lake Michigan in northwest Indiana. We'll have more a little bit later. I showed you in a previous video how I pull the lazy jacks and the mast pack all down and run the lines forward to the mast to get really kind of the loose-footed main set free there. This is a little bit different variation. I'm lazy today, and we do have, you know, a fair amount of wind at times anyway. It's kind of up and down, but today I just eased off the jacks and left them in place though, and then pulled the mast or the mac pack down. And although the sail shape isn't perfect at the bottom, it's you know, better than not having the whole thing bound up inside the into the mast mac pack. So that's just another option. You can get a little bit idea how much draft we can get in the sail even with the lazy jacks on. I could ease them off on the leeward side even more if I wanted to, but I think they're probably okay. I'll ease these off on this side so when I tack should be okay and give us a little bit of, so I'll just put a little bit of slack in those. There. So when we tack, this side will be loose too. And Again, beautiful day here on the south end of Lake Michigan. Not making great speed at the moment. We've got about 8 knots apparent. But we are going downwind, so when we tack or jibe, things will be a little more interesting, I think. But for now, it's just kind of a lazy day sail, and there aren't too many nice days left in the month of October. So tomorrow is Columbus Day, and I'm off, so I'm hoping maybe get out one more time if I'm lucky. Weather's supposed to be similar, maybe a little cooler tomorrow, but kind of similar weather tomorrow. So I changed my course a little bit, so I'm not running downwind quite as much. Between 60 and 90 degrees. So we got a little bit faster speed now. We're making 6 knots. And then what I'll do when I get out here a little bit further, I'm gonna tack and go kind of a northwest direction, I think. Keep it on a beam reach. And then I'm not sure exactly how we'll get back into the harbor, the marina, but this is so much faster and more fun than a downwind sail for me. I never loved downwind sailing, so this one's a little bit more exciting. Picking up some speed, and all right, wind piped up all of a sudden to 17 knots. I eased the mainsail out a bit. We're still quite a bit leaned over. I can't tell how far because my lean gauge the ball seems to be stuck at about 10 degrees. I joked that I glued it there because my wife gets freaked out anything over 10. And I can point to it and say, see, we're not 10. But we were definitely more than 10. Just the ball must be stuck. Anyway, that made an exciting little burst of speed, and like I said, eased the mainsail out on the Traveler. Another big gust of wind there, 16 knots. Certainly makes the sailing more exciting, that's for sure. Alright, well, we are a little over canvas for 20 knots of wind, but that's what we got right now. So I've got the main way over. I'm going to try to run a little bit downwind here in a minute and see if I can't get some of that jib rolled up. But all of a sudden we got some really fast gusts of wind, and I knew that it was going to be a little bit trickier going back because we're going to be going upwind a bit. But that was a pretty stout gust we hit. So I'm going to see if I can get the autopilot on here, and I'm going to just kind of look for a window of opportunity to get some of that jib rolled up. Powered here in 20 knots of wind, and my lean gauge works in this direction. We're pushing 30, maybe a little more than 30 degrees heel. I'm kind of looking for an opportunity to put a reef in the main, so if we get a kind of a lull in the wind, I'm gonna try to put a reef in. I can do that from the cockpit here. I don't have to go up to the mast, and I really don't need to point up into the wind too much, maybe a little bit, but I'm looking for an opportunity for the wind to die down, because at 19, 20 knots is a lot to contend with. So we're just kind of running it out. I can ease the main Traveler over again. I just was kind of hanging on to it, hoping the winds would die down again, but they might not. I don't know. I'm trying not to get too far off course. But of course the wind's gonna be coming right off my nose probably as I head back to the marina, or at least right now it's clocked around to the west pretty good, which it was before, but it's even worse now. I might be able to lower that mainsail with it luffing just a little bit like that. I think I'll give it a shot. Alright, well, we're still, we changed tack. So we're running mostly south, trying to eke our way a little bit west, but mostly south, and then we'll turn west, northwest towards the marina, see if we can make any headway that way. Winds are still blowing a pretty good 17 knots. I've done a little bit of cleaning up, so got the MacPac back in place, the Lazy Jacks are back tight again, relatively tight, just so we have less to do later when it's time to start dropping stuff. We still have a double reef in the main and a double reef in the jib. We got ropes everywhere, and we got a hell of a mess down in the cabin. You can't see, but I ran down there a few minutes ago. It was pretty messy down there. So, like I said, we're trying to beat as much to the southwest as we can, which isn't very much. And then we'll tack towards the west, northwest, see if we can make any progress in that direction. I think we'll be able to do something there. At least get closer to the marina before we drop all the sails and fire up the motor. But this is one of the challenging things about sailing. Was blowing 20 there for a second before I turned the camera on, of course. Anyway, still running, beating up into the wind, reef jib and reef main, double reef in both. Wind's variable from 15 to 20, sometimes a little bit less, most of the time in that range. And then we're gonna do a tack and try to go west northwest, see if we can make any headway that way, and that'll get us pretty close to the marina. So we're still doing it. Like I said, wind's kind of variable. I'm trying to get as deep up against the shore there to the south as I can before I tack. But now the wind's kind of fizzled out on me, so we'll see. Well, more in a little bit. Just thought I'd show you a little something. I did something kind of stupid. Hard to believe, I know, but I was trying to tighten the topping lift on this cabin top winch. Problem is the angle's all wrong, and I twisted it right around the winch and over wrapped it. And, so my solution, something I learned recently, is a Prusik knot. So I was able to put a Prusik on the line and then run it back to a second winch. Ugly, but it worked. Just so I could take the tension off of this one, and I was able to get it off of there. So Prusik knot works great and comes with a whole lot of different uses. So I've rolled up the jib, motoring back at this point because I can't quite point up close enough, and time's getting short. So I'm going to motor a little bit faster, and then I'll drop the main, and then I'll get all the ropes tidied up and kind of get the boat ready to put away. I was a little worried about that topping lift. which is why I tried to tighten it. Problem is I can't cleat it now, so that really didn't do me a heck of a lot of good, I guess. All right, well, we're wrapping up the day here with a little bit of a motor back into the harbor. Winds are still, yeah, they're down a little bit. 14 knots apparent, and we're going straight into the wind at 5 knots, so it's down to about 10 knots or so. We will have made it about 15, 16, 17 miles maybe today, although the last 2 are motor in. Just couldn't take the time to tack that many times to get back, so as it is, I should be back around 4 o'clock and get home. So everything's put away, the lines are tidied up, and boat's really ready just to dock and go home. I did drop my lifelines already just so I don't forget, and since everything's done and I'm standing in the cockpit for the rest of the ride, I don't think that's too much of a safety issue. And anyway, boat handled fine. Really monkeying around with sails today, just kind of, I'm not loving this topping lift situation. I'm gonna have to figure that out. You know, I can drop the sail a couple of inches anytime I tack and get it under the topping lift and then raise it up. That almost seems like the easiest. It just kind of bugs me that I have to do it that way. And the guys at North Sails so far have not really said a whole lot other than, well, we can measure it, but we think we measured it right. And they suggested loosening the topping lift, but that just adds a whole lot of other issues that I don't like. So I'm gonna have to think about that, especially if I can't do it from the cockpit, or, you know, for that part, I could barely do it at all, even up at the mast. But that's maybe my boat problem. Today is the wind is gonna wanna blow us right into our slip, pushing us probably at 10 knots. So we have to be ready to hit the reverse throttle, and importantly, we want to get our winch loop on quickly and efficiently. The good news is we're not going to blow sideways, so it's just a matter of slowing us down and easing into the slip as opposed to getting, you know, blown sideways, in which case you usually have to come in a little bit hotter so you don't blow off course so much. So I don't think this will be bad, but I might try to hold the camera while I do it this time. Usually all you guys see is my backside. I might try to hold the camera while I put the winch loop on, and you get a better feel for how it works. We'll try that when we get closer into the dock. So she's blowing pretty good. That's true wind there. That's 11 or 12 knots. Only good news is, like I said, it's going to push us into our slip and up against our finger pier just a little bit. So as long as we give ourselves enough room to get pushed a little bit towards the pier, and 2, we're ready to slow down, I think we should have an okay docking here, and hopefully that'll get a little bit less wind as we get closer to the marina and get in around the boats and whatnot. Hopefully it'll be all fine. I have a boat hook handy here. I keep one at the ready just in case something happens and I get blown off the pier. I really need to get that loop. That's the critical part of my docking routine, and if I miss it, usually that's not good. So I keep that handy. When I came in last week, it was a north wind, so it was blowing me off the pier, and it blew me a little bit further away than I had hoped, and I was lucky enough to get the get the boat hook on the loop and pull it over and get it around my winch. So keeping that boat hook handy so I can grab it in a quick heartbeat is helpful. So we're coming in just, you know, idle speed almost, 2.6 knots. Just enough to keep some steerage up, and we got to go around a couple of big boats, and then we'll be turning into our slip and slowing down, putting it in reverse,